decides to like crash or something, it can happen now. So again, in the chat, please send me what do you think that graph tells us. If something is wrong with my question, tell me that. So I have 0 responses right now, so either my chat is broken. By the way, please make sure you're chatting me privately, not the group, because, well, otherwise you just told the group the answer. We're all here. Guys, it's like a party. What does that graph tell us? What does that graph tell us if there's an issue with the question I'm asking? What's the issue? Like, if your response would be, well, that's a bad question, I can't answer that question, then what do you need to know?
I don't really understand. So, like, if you messed up the question? Or...
Yeah. My question's not good. I'm going to tell you, my question's not good. By asking you to explain that graph, like using words, you could explain this graph using numbers. And actually, so I'll take a volunteer to, if you want to help me explain why this is a bad question. If I asked you to explain this in words. Logan says a plane's crashing, maybe like lost. You know, they're going to end up on an island.
Yeah, because like the angle is too sharp for if they were just going to land.
All right, Zoe, you got your hand up. What do you think?
We don't really know what the graph says with all the labels if you don't have all the labels.
Oh, you accidentally said it in the public. Yes, that is funny. Charlotte said it in the public chat by accident, which is totally fine. Yeah, we don't know what the x-axis is. Because this is a bad question unless we know what the label of the x-axis is. So, Logan, is it really a plane crashing, or is it maybe a hot air balloon slowly coming down if this is minutes that it takes to get down to the ground? Well, we don't know. Now, remember...
We don't know the altitude that the plane was at.
Oh, yeah, so we know altitudes in meters, but we don't even know if it's a plane, right? So... Yesterday, quote unquote, I'm going to start using yesterday in quotations, just meaning the last day of class, because I'm spending too much mental effort trying to remember what day it is and what day I last saw people. It's just yesterday. So yesterday we talked about this, and we knew it was how fast Zane was climbing because our x-axis had been labeled in time in seconds, and Zane was in a rush because that volcano was about to go off. So if I tell you that this is a function of time in minutes, and this is actually a mirror driving from Jerusalem to the lowest place on Earth, the Dead Sea. His altitude to sea level in meters as a function of time is graphed here. Now wait a minute. How long was each descent? By 88 meters. What? So take a moment. On your paper, I want you to write what you think we need to do to attack this problem. I'm going to give you like a minute or two to think about this and write some things down. And then I have a couple announcements I need to make. I just wanted to kind of get our brains rolling. And then I got a couple things in Schoology to show you mainly. Some of you guys I think already noticed them. Guys, remember, we should have our cameras on unless there's like a legit reason for us not to. It lets us know that you're on task quite legitimately when I say like, okay, let's write this down, and I see people moving to write stuff down. It lets me know that we are on task. It's not that we don't trust you. It's just the human nature of knowing that somebody can see what you're doing keeps you on task, right? Like, if I know that I'm being watched, I'm going to stay on task. If not, I might be a little, all over the place.
The way you say we're being watched is kind of scary.
Ah, Logan, it's 2020.
Also,
we're all being watched.
The FBI obviously, I was going to say, they watch us through our webcams anyways.
So if we were to label today, we're still discussing slope. And we're also talking about intercepts, right? When we start to interpret these graphs. But also other parts of the graph, or other graph info, I guess we could say. Today is, oh, I almost said October. It's December 10th. Sorry, my brain saw the 10 and thought October. So everyone should have a header on your notes. Hey, I'm not going to make you pick up your notebook or whatever. Everyone show me your pencil real fast, so I know you got something to write with. Or pen. It's okay if it's a pen. If you don't have it, get one. All right, thank you very much. So if we label our paper, my mouse is lost. Slope, intercept, and other graph info. Today is the 10th. Hard to keep track of days sometimes. Sorry, I just shook my whole desk. What can we see from this graph? And we can still see it with this much of my notes showing. What's important that we see from the graph here? Throw it in the chat, unmute, and shout it out. I don't care. I can't tell if those hands are up for right now because Zoe and Kelly, I think you both raised your hands a while ago. What's our Y-intercept? 440, 0, 440, right? So if we were going to talk about the Y-intercept as a point that we write in order, it's 0, 440, right? What is our X-intercept?
40, 0.
Ah, so I think somebody, and I didn't even pay attention to who was saying, if you said 40, 0, if that's what you had said the first time, I thought somebody said 440, 0. But yeah, be careful. That's our X-intercept. Remember, we talked about finding slope. Throw in the chat, what the slope here is once we simplify it. So if you haven't figured it out, take a moment to figure it out. What is our simplified slope here? Throw it in the chat. Try to throw it to me, please. Not to everyone. It's okay. Now, when we start thinking about what is the slope, remember, we got to go through a checklist of, like, make sure we think about these things of, like, is it positive or negative? That's a big part of our checklist. And then, did we put the y over the x? So if I were to draw it, the change in y, I draw on top. The change in x, I like to draw on bottom, because then I have things on top and on bottom. So it seems like we're having a debate between negative 10 and negative 11. Anyone want to raise their Zoom hand to talk me through what I'm going to do here to figure out what the slope is? Kelly, you want to talk us through it?
Yeah, so, you have your change over y and change over x, so 440 to negative 0, you have to subtract 440.
Negative 0?
So you have negative 440 over, and then 0 to 40 is obviously 40, so you have negative 440 over 40, right? So then if you just divide that, and you can do it in a calculator is what I did, you get 11.
What could I do with stacked zeros? What could I do with stacked zeros? Delete them. So really what we have is negative 44 over 4. And what's this simplified to, Kelly? Yeah, negative 11, guys. But that's not the answer to our question. Crap. How long was each descent by 88 minutes? I want you to throw in the chat what you think. And if you don't know, put a question mark in the chat. But how long was each descent by 88 meters? How long was each descent? They tell us this axis is minutes, and actually you could see it if I didn't have this graph so low on our paper. what we just figured out is y equals negative 11x. Ooh, I like that we've got some differing answers, guys. It really does tell me that, like, it's good we're doing this because we're getting different answers. If I talk about meters, are we talking about the x or the y value here? If I'm talking about meters, is it the x or the y value? The y value. So guys, two things that I am concerned about from the chat, but it's not very concerning. One, just check your math, like use a calculator if you want. Two, be careful about labels. They ask us how long was each descent by 88 meters. Guys, here's where we have to think about y in this situation is our meters. X is our minutes, right? So if they ask us for a descent, we're going down 88 meters. That's going to be equal to negative 11 times however many minutes we have. Right? Put this problem into context. Right? Make sense of what is the x and what is the y. What can we plug in to find the other thing? So to solve for the amount of minutes, which is unknown right now, how do I get rid of this negative 11, which is multiplied? Yeah, divide by negative 11. Negative 88 divided by negative 11? 8. It is straight up exactly 8. I had a couple people say about. We really only use the word about when we are approximating. And this actually comes out nicely to be 8. Because 11 times 8 makes 88. And the negatives cancel each other out. So we get 8 minutes there. Please use the chat feature to let me know if any of what we just did didn't make sense while you look at these two problems. And I'm actually going to make them a little bit bigger. I want to make sure that we can like figure out the context of the problems that we're actually doing. So I need more than just like, I don't get it. Like, please try to tell me like what part didn't make sense. And I guess this is also when I'll say a reminder, we have extensions today. If people want to hang out just right after this class, we can go right into extensions. I might need to run to the restroom real fast, but that's fine. So, and to the people in chat telling me like they're still confused, I should probably say hang on for a couple more questions and then let's talk about are we still confused? Because now we're going to look at these problems in the other way. Right? What we would have actually back here, I kind of lied. And I need to go back and fix that because I don't like when I've said something that's not true. Our equation is not y equals negative 11x. But that's how we can solve for the amount of time from our slope triangle. But in reality, if we want to talk about the equation that happens, this is just the proportional relationship of how fast we're climbing. This is our rate. But in all honesty, our equation should be, and actually this therefore should probably go somewhere else. Sorry, this is bad. The equation should be y equals negative 11x what? Who can tell me what should go out there? Yes, plus 440. Sorry, I cannot write today. Because we have a Y-intercept of 440. So Zane, no, it's not Zane anymore. Sorry, Amir started at 440 meters above sea level and was driving down. His elevation was getting lower. The Dead Sea is below sea level, actually. The Dead Sea is like way far below sea level. Anyone remember how far? I forget. I think it's like over a mile, like below sea level. I might be wrong. We have Google. We could look it up. But so in these two situations, what we're going to do is take apart, like dissect what these actually mean. So please go ahead and on your paper write P equals 0.8 n plus 550. We're going to talk about these, label them, and make sure that we're comfortable when we get to the Khan Academy stuff. Zoe, did you just Google that? It looked like you did. How low?
1,382.
Okay, so that's about a quarter of a mile. Yeah, so I was off by a lot. But yeah, it's about a quarter mile down. That's crazy. See, that sort of stuff too. Me being able to see that Zoe Googled it, because I could tell because her camera's on, that's helpful to us, guys. It makes class like easier for all of us. I hate using t as a variable, by the way, because it looks like a plus sign. No, we'll just discuss it as a class. Thank you for asking if you're supposed to type this in the chat. I appreciate that question. We'll discuss a couple of these, then I'll probably have one where I ask you guys to do it in the chat. Do I have a different volunteer, somebody I haven't talked with today, that wants to talk about our paintball problem right here? I used to go paintballing, I will admit that, out in the woods with my friends. It was a thing that we did in Coshocton because there was not much to do. Sebastian, you want to talk to us about this problem and how you can figure out what the entrance fee is?
Well, it says the variable P models the total price of what you're actually paying, and then N is the number of balls used, so 80 cents for every ball, and then $5.50.
Okay, yeah, so we pay 0.8 and we're putting a current, a label on that of 80 cents per paintball that you actually like buy, shoot, whatever you want to say. And then, so the thing that only happens once is the entrance fee. So $5.50 must be the entrance fee. So that's where we start, right? Even if then I get nervous and I'm like, I haven't been shot with a paintball in a while, I decide I don't want to play, I still paid the $5.50 entrance fee. I still got to pay that, even if I don't use any paintballs. If I hide in the fort the whole time, I still pay $5.50. And then, as you explained oh so well, the 80 cents that's per paintball. That seems steep. If I shoot 10 paintballs, that's $8. That seems expensive.
Especially if they give you an automatic gun.
Yes, that seems expensive. Alright, so looking at a ship dropping its anchor, if you've never been on a boat, it's pretty fun, especially if it's a sailboat. I've done small boats. I haven't been on a lot of big boats. I went on a cruise once. But yeah, boats are fun. So the variable L models the anchor's elevation in meters relative to the water's surface t seconds after the ship drops its anchors. Anchor. Oh, normally there's more than one. Who else, somebody new, wants to tell us what does this problem mean? You can tell us the initial height, but also tell us what else it tells us. So this L equals negative 2.4 t plus 75. Looking for a new hand. Even your real hand, you can rate if it's in the frame. Yeah. You guys ever feel trapped inside your Zoom box? Nobody else wants, I see that Kelly's hand is up. That's fine. Kelly's already talked with us today.
Sorry, my hand was up from later.
From later? Whoa, Kelly's time traveling. Your hand was up from later. Sophia, what does the 75 mean in this situation? Yeah, it's the B. Guys, I'm checking my notes to see what we talked about. Yeah, so back over here when we talked about functions, right, use an independent and a dependent variable. We talked way back here about y equals mx plus b form, the b being our y-intercept. Another way we can talk about the y-intercept is when the independent variable is 0. So, Sophia, you were saying it's the y-intercept. It's what we often call our b value. You're absolutely right. But what does that tell us? In this problem, when t is 0, what is 75? Or anybody. If we plugged in t of 0, okay, well, if t is 0, what's multiplication by 0? 0. So then L on the left-hand side and 75 on the right-hand side. Guys, I'm going to have to start calling on people at random. When t is 0, L is 75. So, our initial height is 75. So another thing that we can call our B, if we want to add to like our vocab arsenal, B is our initial value. Is another name that we can give to that B. We often call it Y-intercept, but when we talk about real situations, we say initial value, meaning that negative 2.4, another name we can call that we already did call it, it's our rate of change. So here the anchor is falling at negative 2.4, well that's because it's falling, right? Negative 2.4 meters every second, right? Because our time is in seconds. Let's try one on your own. I want you in the chat to tell me not only how much money does the charity raise by selling a single ticket, but what does this negative 1,500 mean? And then, if you want to go the extra mile, how many tickets do we need to sell to make profit?
That was really weird. You went out at the beginning of profit, and we just heard the P, and then you cut out, and then it was fit, and it was kind of scary.
Yeah, I got a chat. Sorry, that's why probably, because I got a chat.
What was the second part to the question again?
So, how much is each ticket? What does the negative 1,500 mean? And if you really want to go the extra mile, how many tickets do they need to sell to make profit? So I will put these things in the chat. Yeah, please try to avoid just repeating the vocab words back to me. We're trying to put it in context of this situation. It's like if you were telling a story to somebody about this. What does the negative 1,500 mean in this story? you could think about this like a school dance, like a prom or something like that. I mean, they say it's a fundraiser, but like any event that you put on could be modeled using a situation like this.
Mr. Hudson, I messaged you a couple times about this in chat, but my mom was calling me. Can I call her back?
Yeah, dude, you don't have to ask me that. Sorry, there were so many chats at the same time. It kept getting pushed up. I see it now. But sorry, literally the whole class is chatting me. So sorry, you're good, man. That's more important than me. Guys, your parents are always more important than me. Right? I'm not that teacher going, Sophia, you left the screen. Where'd you go? Like, I don't care. I trust you guys are taking care of something important, and then you'll come back. Ooh, I've got a couple guesses on how many tickets. Actually, I've only got one so far, I think. How many tickets would we need to sell? Oop, there we go. There's another one. Second person sent me that. Nice. I'm going to give it a little bit more time as people figure out their answers. Guys, if you're just sitting there like staring at the screen waiting for this to be done, you should be doing math. Hey, Kelly, check your math. Like make sure you read the problem. Knowing you, I would say probably make sure that you actually read the problem. Actually, where'd Kelly go? Hold up. Hey, hold up. Can I tell you that it's incorrect? And I'm scared to let you just start talking because people might get confused.
Yes, I will type it to you what I did.
Yeah, give me like an indication of what, because I think you, I don't think that's what you meant to say. I think the words you sent me are wrong. I think the number you sent me is right, but I think you're giving the wrong words to it. Double check what words you're attaching to that number. You know what I mean? The label. Yeah, thank you. Especially if your camera's off. I appreciate seeing your answer in chat. I'm really looking for that. Otherwise, I might need to talk with a couple people after class about, like, where are you at? So especially if your camera's at, please try to put your answer in chat. What is how much they make per ticket? What is the negative 1,500? And how many tickets they need to sell? All right, so in our notes, keep sending me stuff in the chat if you want. We will start talking about this, though. In our notes, we should have written down P equals 70N minus 1,500, where P, guys, putting labels on your paper is really useful sometimes. P's profit in dollars, right? So we will make from this fundraiser and then whatever is over here. So if N is 0, if N is 0, then Kelly, you're still goofing up your labels, and it's okay. This will probably be like an aha moment here in just a second. Cooper, if N is 0, and this all becomes 0, what is the negative 1,500? What's that mean? Yeah, if profit is negative, that's actually expenses. So that we could label the expenses are $1,500 because that's what we start at. We have to, sorry, that should be part of my dollar sign. We have to sell tickets to get back this negative 1,500. So now remember, N is the number of tickets sold. They tell us N is number of tickets. So, can somebody tell me then how we can figure out the number of tickets we need to sell in order to recoup this $1,500? Go on.
70 tickets, right?
Ooh, it's $70 per ticket. Actually, sorry, we forgot to label that. So this we need to label because N is the number of tickets we sell. The 70, right? So let's make sure that we read this.
I was thinking of it as 70 tickets.
Yeah, because you guys didn't read. You're good. I know what you were thinking. That's why I came back here to read again. N is the number of tickets sold, meaning 70 is the amount per ticket. It's the cost of each ticket. Zoe, do you want to tell us how we solve the, recouping our expenses?
So you could add 1,500 to both sides.
Yeah, if we add 1,500 to both sides.
And then you divide both sides by 70.
Yeah. Now, what we can actually really do is say, if we made the P 0, right, that's the other thing to think about is if profit is 0, if we want to break even, we can actually say P is 0, making the left side 0 plus the 1,500. So we get 1,500 needs to be equal to the 70 times N. We divide by the 70. Or a lot of people in chat sent me just, well, if we know that we spent $1,500, we need to make back up $1,500 selling tickets at $70 a piece. Kelly, this number, which is what you sent me, and you wrote out a bunch of the decimal places, and I appreciate that. That's fun. That is not dollars. That's how many tickets.
Yeah, I saw that. I texted, or I sent it in the chat.
You said, dang it.
42857.
That's funny.
4286 ticket.
Yeah, I hadn't looked back at chat. Guys, that is the stuff that's really fun for us, is even though we're having to, do this crap via chat and stuff like that, Kelly just sent me dang it and, then explained the mistake that he had made. That, that makes us feel good when we recognize, when our students can recognize, okay, I did this wrong, but I know I did this wrong. I now understand what I did. Let's try, we got 10 minutes left. Let's try this one. Read the problem. Read the words on the screen. That was fast. Oh, by the way, this is another one of those moments where that's what Khan's going to ask you, but I want you to be able to tell me every single part of the problem. So, what is the 80? What is the 5.4? That sort of stuff. So think about that. We'll talk about it in a second. You can chat me whatever you want. But yeah, what we're going to talk about is what is the 80? What is the 5.4? Then answer the question that Khan gives you. And I wanted to show you these because this starts to be a trap door. You can't just, Khan isn't just going to ask you, what is the slope? What is the Y-intercept? They're going to make you make sense of the problem. Yeah, hey Rachel, do you want to explain the problem to everybody?
So if you read the little paragraph, W is the wrestler's weight. After the wrestler has been on the diet that he's on for 2 months. and so he is gaining 5.4 kilograms a month, and yeah.
Yeah, very good. So, here's where we're going to start to make, like, interesting sense of the problem. In how much time, and I want you to round to 2 decimal places, will the sumo weigh 100 kilograms? Let's say there's a weight class that is 100 kilograms and up. Do I have any wrestlers here? Anybody wrestle? I mean, obviously not right now. That's kind of not a COVID activity. But yeah, so like my wrestlers know about weight classes. So there's like a minimum weight, and sometimes there's max weight. But let's say the sumo wrestler's trying to get into the 100 kilogram weight class. Well, we would mathematically say, okay, W is 100. And solve this, because I want you to solve like to 2 decimal places. So a couple of you have sent me an answer in chat that is rounded. So what would we do first? Anybody unmute and shout it out. Do we divide by 5.4 first?
Subtract the 80.
Yeah, get rid of the 80 first. So then, oh, this might work out pretty close to nice. What do we do now?
Divide by 5.4.
We get 3.703, right? So it'd actually be 3.70. Even if we round it, we'll round down. So, in reality, it'd be 3 months and 3 weeks, right? What if there was a bout, like a fight, a wrestling match every week? 3.7 months would really be 3 months and 3 weeks, right? Because 0.7 of a month is probably about 3 weeks. So this is where, like, rounding to 4 isn't necessarily what we want to do, right? So when we ask for to a certain amount of decimal places, now remember, that's not the question they asked. Our answer to the question they asked is 10.8, right? A lot of you guys sent it to me in the chat. If we double this for 2 months, we get 10.8, exactly what Rachel said. But if we want to answer another question about the problem, we can plug in whatever we want. What if he stays on his diet for, what's an easy, 5 months? Let's do 5. How much weight does he gain if he stays on his diet for 5 months? Remember, diet does not mean you're losing weight. Diet means you care about what you eat. You're paying attention.
Really? I did not know that. I always thought diet was losing weight.
Well, actually, my wife just yelled from the other room, your diet is what you eat. Like, you're on, like, your diet. Everyone has your diet. When you're on a diet, it's when you're making very intentional choices. Ooh, I got some very different answers in here. 5 months, guys. How much weight would he gain? Oh, are you sending me total weight? Double check your math. In 5 months, how much weight would he gain? And then, what's his total weight? We could solve that pretty quickly, I think. Alright, for the sake of time, unmute, shout it out. How much weight does he gain in 5 months? 27 kilograms. Careful if you're trying to say pounds. I probably did that a couple times already. And his total weight would be 107. Thank you very much. In the chat, let's do speed round. Answer the question on the screen. By how much does the ice sheet's thickness decrease every 6 weeks? Then, at what point will the ice sheet be gone? Those are your two questions. The one on the screen, and when will the ice sheet be gone? Yeah, Ivan, definitely. Go take care of what you need to. Per week? Ah, yeah, be careful. Trying to be fast. Now, guys, stick up your Zoom hand. I still want you to answer things in chat. Stick up your Zoom hand if you can tell us how to algebraically solve for when the ice sheet is gone. Like what we need to do to solve a question like when the ice sheet is gone. What do we do with that equation? No Zoom hands? Ah, I got somebody in chat. Akshay, you willing to unmute and tell us what you put in chat?
Well, I said to plug in 0 for S because in the sentence above it says the variable S models the ice sheet's thickness, and you want to know when the thickness goes away.
Yeah. So guys, when these problems start to ask you, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, the work I assigned for like next week and or potentially over winter break or after winter break, this is where we're going with this stuff. You got to think about, what am I plugging in? Well, when they say when we want the ice to be gone, S is 0. The thickness would be 0. So we do 0 equal to 4 plus... Now, I turned this around because I like it better this way. To say I start at a certain thickness, and then I have this change happening. Well, so then we can... What do we do now? Anybody, shout it out.
Subtract 4 from each side.
Subtract 4 from each side. Some of you guys sound like you're in a time warp. Now what do we do? Anybody shout it out.
Multiply divide by negative. Multiply.
Ooh, hold up. Somebody was saying multiply. We could multiply here, but the question then would become, what do we need to multiply this by to turn it into 1? Because our goal is to get 1t, like t by itself. Everyone who said divide by negative 0.25, you're right. We can divide by negative 0.25. Sebastian, stop it. We can divide by negative 0.25. Or, unless you're trying to raise your hand. Sebastian, are you trying to raise your hand to answer this? You can go ahead and answer this. That was just like a little crazy. Yeah, negative 4. Now, guys, this is not the negative 4 we're talking about. What we're saying is negative 0.25, negative 1/4. If you multiply it by negative 4, that would give us 1t. So when we do that on both sides, what do we get on the left-hand side? 16. So about 4 months, right? 16 weeks, this ice is going to be gone. Now, guys, if you can believe, well, some of you have probably heard about this before. There are places where their lakes freeze over so thick, they go park a car on it, like a beat-up car, and they all take bets on when the car will fall through the ice. I cannot make this stuff up, although you guys know a lot more about America than I did when we were kids. You know how ridiculous some places of America are. That's like their fun, right? Let's bet on when the car falls through the ice. And then somebody gets to go down there. Yeah.
Like something if Florida was cold, they would do down there.
You're absolutely right. But it's places like Wisconsin and those there's just nothing to do. So let's park a car on the ice. I've got more of these. Oh, this is...
sit there and watch it?
No, I mean, you people will notice. Fahrenheit to Celsius conversion, that's always fun. We're going to start to get into questions like this next week. And if I had moved as fast as I probably should have today, we would have gotten into this. But when you have situations like this is when we're going to build an equation to deal with it and then plug in the other information to solve for the information we don't know. So notice that you have 3 bits of information here, and actually 4, because this is 55 pages per 1 hour. So you've got your rate, and then after 4 hours, he had 330 pages left to read. Guys, careful reading is going to save you a lot of mistakes here. Careful reading is going to save you a lot of mistakes here. So, I'm going to wrap up now because I'm over the time where I like to end. I like to end by 45 minutes into class. But these are the problems that we're going to be dealing with next week, and really, you are ready to deal with them right now if you work carefully. I guess my final reminders would be, remember, there's always an independent variable and a dependent variable. So, the pages read depends on what here? Time, right? Time is almost always our independent variable. So almost always time is our independent variable. I'm over time, so have a great day, guys. Thank you very much for your attention and doing what I ask. I appreciate it. So have a good one. Extensions in 10 minutes if you want to come back and do more math. See you in 10 minutes if you want to.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Mr. Hudson, there was some, loud bleep sounds, I think from your computer, or it might have been from mine, but it sounded like you were getting bleeped out for cursing.
Oh, that's funny. It actually was probably my wife's exercise bike from the other room. The beeps are probably loud enough for you guys to hear, so that might have been it, but yeah, that's funny. No, if I accidentally curse, it's just going to happen. There's no bleep feature on here, so I got to make sure I have my own filter function, right? My own personal filter.